All right. Welcome to another episode of Happy Hour Analytics. I'm still on coffee because it's just that kind of day. So my happy hour is coffee, maybe with a little bit of peanut butter whiskey in it. Have you had peanut butter whiskey yet, Scott?
No. Is that a thing?
It's a thing. It sounds horrible, but you mix it in with some hot cocoa, and dear God, it is great.
Nothing about
Anyways,
that sounds horrible.
it sounds disgusting, doesn't it? It's very good. As always, I am Keith Perhac, founder of SegMetrics, joined by Scott Queen, also of SegMetrics. And today we're talking about something super cool, which is our 10-year anniversary at SegMetrics. And today we're just going to talk a little bit about where SegMetrics came from, what it does, and why it does it, and where we see the product going in the next few years, and honestly, how the marketing industry has changed in 10 years, 15 years.
So, SegMetrics really started because Keith and I had an agency relationship. We were really focused on conversion rate optimization work, right? So we were doing funnel hacking. That was the thing, typically for high-end coaches and really smart marketers, people whose names most people would recognize, right? These are powerhouse marketing people. And I am a marketer. I am not at all technical. And I was the account facing person, largely because our clients were stateside and Keith was in Japan. So I caught a lot of the phone calls. And they would come to me and say, "Hey, Scott, is it working? Whatever part of the funnel we happen to be working on, whether it was ads, which we did a little bit of, card optimization, nurture campaigns, whatever, on site stuff." And my answer was always, probably. And,
Which
that's
isn't a
a
great answer to have at an agency.
it's a terrible answer,
And let's
right?
talk about, I mean, we flippantly say probably, but the answer was really that we would have to spend about 5 hours to find out the answer,
That's
because
correct.
what we would do is we would go into Infusionsoft, now Keep, or Ontraport or ActiveCampaign, and we would export all of the contacts, we would export all of the purchases, we would export all the tags, and we'd export all of the custom fields that we had saved all of that web tracking information in, like UTM values and stuff. Then we would create a 50 million line pivot table to build all this data together and see which tags applied to which contacts, to which connected to which revenue over a certain amount of time, and then pull in the UTM values and everything. And at the time, I didn't realize that Excel and Google Sheets had limits on the number of rows a table can
Yep.
have. They very much have limits on the number of
And we
rows
hit
that
that we
tables can
hit
go.
that a few
And
times,
we
right?
constantly hit that. And so, just like Scott said, it was every time a customer asks us a question, we have 5 hours that we have to work to get an answer. And this started out where, yeah, we would have a presentation and we'd be like, okay, these are the things that we see because this is the data that we've pulled. And then because we're working with very smart marketers, they would ask very smart questions, which we had not considered yet. And then it's another drip into the data and we have to go figure it all out again and figure out how we're going to get it. And Scott was like, this is time consuming. This is horrible. Could we just put this into a database? Like, is this possible? That's essentially what we did. Like, the first version of SegMetrics was really just
Mhm.
we slurped in all the data into a database, kept it up to date, and allowed you to run queries on it. And that was good for us. And that's all we needed. And then it got popular and we started using it on client calls, and then clients were excited about it and they wanted access, and then they wanted to invite people in to use it, and then they were telling their friends, oh, this is
Yep.
great, you should use this too. And suddenly we have software and that's doing better than the agency, and so we decided, you know what, we'll be software now, so
Yeah,
now we're software.
we just doubled down on the application and kind of folded the agency work. I think one of the things you forgot to mention is that as we got good at the conversion rate stuff, the clients would come to us and want things faster. So
Yeah,
the first engagement was all big and slow, right? Because we could knock out really big rocks of things that were not good. As we started getting into the nits where they're sending a million emails a week, they start asking things like, "Okay, what's the third link in that third email doing?" That
right,
became
very
so
specific
incredible,
things,
right,
yes.
very specific things, very hard. So that was really the need for getting it in some automated fashion. We couldn't have hired an army of monkeys to pull all the data that we needed at the
Yeah.
pace we needed to pull it.
And this was something that I think was very lucky for us, which was we started out at this conversion rate optimization level, which is a middle of funnel play, right? So we were working with info product people, lots of SaaS people who were really focused on not as much that top of funnel acquisition as they are focused on nurturing and converting existing leads into customers. Info products famously have 14-day, 21-day, 3-month, 6-month nurture sequences. That's just how long it takes to convert someone from reading your blog to a customer who's willing to spend 500, 600, $1,000 on a product, right? So this was really lucky for us because there really wasn't much web tracking back in the day, not like there is now, and especially not on the ad space. Like it was more of, okay, what landing page did they come to? And then how did they convert from there instead of all of the attribution models and stuff that's so common now? Like it just
Yeah,
really
it
was
didn't
not a thing.
exist. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the first time that we got questions about ads that we could now answer deeper into the funnel, down into the middle of the funnel. The ad platforms never tell you that. They still don't tell you that. So it's not
Yeah.
like you're getting that information even to this day. And that was really, I think, when for you the light bulb moment went on when I we had a call and I said, "Hey, I was able to answer this question today." And you went, "Oh." And then you built out a whole new section of SegMetrics that dealt with advertising and
Yep.
funnels and right. I mean, but the timing couldn't have been better.
It was really lucky is really what it was because, especially now there's tons of web tracking software out there, right? Like back in the day, it was really Kiss metrics. That was really the only thing that did real funnel tracking. So we started at it from the opposite side, which was people tracking, right? We were
Right.
always looking at someone in the ESP, the CRM, the marketing software, because that is where we played best. And that's what we were trying to optimize. And it turned out well for us because that's the hard part. It's much harder to go from this web-based tracking to people and measuring tag applications and custom fields and all that than it is to go from people and just add on where did they come from through web tracking. And so this really set us up in a really good
Mhm.
way of we have this middle of funnel tracking, this how are people engaging with you through email and through webinars and through sales calls and through nurture sequences and tags and all this stuff, right? So we have that, and then we're able to add on that top of funnel stuff that really is kind of table stakes at this point.
Yep.
And so that really puts us in a good position of everything being people based. Everything is based off of the people that are engaged with you, not just random anonymous things that we're kind of tacking an email address onto.
Which makes it completely defensible on our part, right? That's what part of what I love about Sigmetrics is if you question what I'm showing you, I can show you exactly who the people were that make up this report or do this thing. It's so easy to defend that. And it makes it so much more accurate than, say, Google Analytics or other kinds of
Right, where
analytics
it's all
tools
black
do that,
box
where it's all
numbers.
black box stuff. Facebook's never going to tell you who clicks on your ads, right? They're never going
That's
to
it's
expose the info.
Yeah, and this is honestly one of the big things about data analytics is that if you don't trust the numbers, you are not going to value the data and you're going to stop using it, right? And anytime you see a number that doesn't match with what you have in your bank account or what you have in your CRM or something, then you start to get nervous and you're like, is this really tracking correctly? And that's why it's so important to us to have that native integration with the CRMs, with the payment gateways that lets you be able to see, oh, we say you have 12 people from Facebook. Here they are. Here's their email addresses. Here's what they've done. Here's who
Yep.
they talk to. And just be able to see that full customer journey as part of the reporting that you're seeing. And so that you trust every single number. And if a number is wrong, you know why it's wrong because you can see why it's wrong and you can fix whatever issue is. Because Lord knows, I mean, no one has their data set up right. No one has their tracking on every page installed correctly. We don't have our tracking and page on every installed on every page correctly. It's impossible. When you have 20 people, 30 people touching a website, something is going to be messed up at some point,
Yep.
especially 5, 10, 15, 20 years of doing business, right? But if you don't have accurate data, you're never going to know what's broken. And that's the big
Yep.
piece, right? Is it doesn't matter if it's broken or not. It matters if you know it's broken or not.
That's
And
right.
because if you know it's broken, you can fix it.
I think the other really cool thing about it is that you truly can be making very poor financial decisions if you don't have good data and if you're not trusting what you're seeing, right?
Hmm.
I harken back to that one client that we talked to a couple of years ago, Keith, where he came to us because he really wanted to optimize his ad spend. He installed SegMetrics, got everything set up and working, and we realized that 99% of his customers were all coming in from referral from sites that he
Hmm.
had relationships with. And it was bad for us because then he didn't think he didn't need SegMetrics anymore, but it was really good for him. That aha moment for him was, I can just turn off my ads. He was spending $15,000 a month on
Yeah.
advertising. We had that immediate impact on his business because you can trust what we're telling you constantly. We can prove it time and again. And
Yeah.
that's one example of 100 that I could throw out over, over the last 10 years.
Yeah. And honestly, we keep getting those types of customers coming in. We had Squadcast that had the exact same thing. We had a customer that came in that was like, "SegMetrics is wrong because you're only showing half our leads. Our webinar system says we got 200, you're only showing 100." And we look in their their CRM, and it's like, "Nope, you only have 100." He's like, "Oh, because the webinar system wasn't sending in half of the leads. Something was broken." And he had
Yeah, I
no
remember that.
idea. It was just stuff like that over and over. And yeah.
Months of people that he could have been talking to and nurturing into contact into customers,
Oh, yeah.
and he
Just never
didn't
got
even
there.
know that they were just never showing up. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I think this kinda ties into, when people develop SaaS and develop products, they're always talking about scratching your own itch. And I think this is one of the main benefits that comes out of us not building the software to build a software, but to essentially scratch our own itch and to improve things at the agency, which is that we live this every single day. Like, this is very much in the way that people optimize ads and optimize marketing, not from a high level stance of this is what people should do, but from an actual, like, we did this every day for 10 years at the agency as we were building Psychmetrics. And I think one of the things that comes out of that is at the agency, we were consultants essentially. Like, we were giving people advice on how to market, how to understand the data, what the data means. And there's an amount of, I don't want to say customer success, but like just care of if our customers are being successful or not. That comes with when you are an agency that is so important to you. And it's important to some software and not others, right?
Yeah, but
But
it's super important to us.
exactly.
We are driven every single day to make sure that the people that are using our software are successful and that the tool is helping them be successful. That it's just it's one of the things that I think I'm most proud of is that our entire team really wants we really want our clients to make money, to grow, to have less frustration, right? That
Mhm.
it's a super critical part of, I think, just the philosophy that we've instilled over the last 10 years is make sure that that's good.
Our number one thing, I think one of our core tenants within our team is making sure that the customer is successful with Psychmetrics.
Yep.
And that's the number one thing. And especially kind of what you were saying, where, the client would not use Psychmetrics anymore because they didn't need to because they turned off their ads. That is still a success.
Absolutely.
Not
It's a huge
using
success.
not using Segmetrics is also a success for us because we don't want you paying for something that you don't get value out of.
That's
We
right.
want you to be successful with Segmetrics. We want it to help you. And if you're done with it, then you're done with it. And that's fine. Like, that is my number one thing, is just to be successful, because when people are better at marketing, the entire industry improves.
Yeah.
And a rising tide raises all
Yeah. Yeah.
ships,
Rising
whatever.
tide raises all
Rising
boats.
tide lifts all
All
boats.
boats. Yes, that's it. That's the saying. No, and we've driven that culture into our entire team, right? Which is probably most frustrating for you because you're the one who gets all of the requests from the team. So, we'll come to you and say, we need a new integration, or we've got to add this thing, or we need this little bit of functionality, and we need it right now because our client needs it to make a big decision. And you're always so accommodating with that. But I also recognize that, yeah, we can push hard.
10 years. As we kind of mentioned, the industry has changed a lot. Web tracking was not much of a thing back then. Ad tracking was definitely not as much of a thing as it
Right.
was now. What do we kind of see as our next step? Like what's next on the for marketing in general, for marketing analytics? What do you kind of see as the next place?
I think it's gotta be the impact that AI is gonna have. It's already having an impact, in the industry as a whole, in content creation and things like that. Really helping AI learn to answer the questions that we answer as people, as marketers today in a more automated fashion. I think it's got to be in that arena. I think that the expansion of the ad platforms is also part of it, right? There are a lot more places that you can put ads and get eyes. When we started, it was just search ads with Google, then it was Facebook, then it was Instagram, and then it was YouTube, and now it's TikTok and Snapchat. And right, there are a lot of places, and really being able to get the right message to the right audiences on all of those platforms, and then utilize AI to help answer questions about it. What do you think?
Right. I kind of feel like it's the same. If you asked me like 2 years ago, it'd probably be around cookies or something like that. But we've kind of seen that the big companies are having issues with cookies. Like Facebook, of course, had a big issue, but they found a way around it, and Google have
Mhm.
found a way around it. And the marketing industry is definitely not hurting for the amount of data that they are able to scrape about anyone. But I do agree. I think it's AI. I think that we are going to there's a lot of challenges coming in. One is going to be direct AI attribution, which is when someone is looking for information research about you from AI, and AI gives you the recommendation. And then as far as you as a company are aware, someone just lands on your site and buys. I think that's going
Right.
to be a huge part of
It's gonna be
attribution
massive.
going forward and how we solve for that. I think the other part is what you touched on, which is we have a lot of data. How does AI help us make get more information out of that and to
Right.
make better decisions from it? What we have seen, because we've done a lot of testing in AI for SegMetrics, and AI is just really bad at math. Like
Right.
it's just impossible to use for any sort of calculation or trends or anything that requires anything like that. But what it is good is for batching and kind of overviews. And
Yep.
so, we had played previously with, oh, could AI give us recommendations from a report? And kinda, but they're really generic. I think that the biggest problem we've always had with both our clients and for customers using Segmetrics is asking good questions. And that is
Mm,
always the challenge. If you know what the question is, you can get a good answer. But if you ask things like, who's my best customer? And this was so funny because when we were designing out 4.0, we had this exact same thing. We had the entire team go through and I asked various questions. I was like, go figure out how to do this in the new UI. And and one of the questions was, who was my best customer? And Brian had written, define best customer.
it was a proud moment
And
for
so
me.
it was a proud moment because best customer is not a valid question. What is
Right.
best customer? Is it the most revenue? Is it the fastest revenue? Is it the most lifetime revenue? Is this a person who buys the most things over the least over the most time? Like, what is it? We don't
Yeah,
know.
is he the most engaged? Is he the one who's going to give you
Right.
testimonials? Is he right?
Or,
That definition
or he
is
either
important.
has bought a $15 product for the last 20 years, right? Like, that's a great
Right.
customer,
That's
right?
a great customer, right.
Exactly. So that is something that I think AI will really help with, I think. And that's one of the places I think we go to next, which is
Yeah.
helping people not do the work of marketing for them, but to help them create better questions And so they
right.
can get better information.
Well, the whole AI industry right now is really based on teaching people to ask better questions of the AI, right? So
Yeah.
this is just an extension of that a little bit, right? To say, okay, now that you can ask a good question of the AI, now make your question topical to your business and be able to get into the data. And I think you're 100% right that that batch information and coupled with good questions and the ability for it to do mass amounts of work in seconds, I think is going to be really revolutionary to the next thing in marketing and certainly for us. I know it is a big focus for us. So
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Scott, 10 years of
10
SegMetrics.
years.
Um,
Cheers,
10
man. It's
years.
some good.
4.0 is coming up next week. And here's to 10 more years.
Yeah, here's to 10 more years. It's been fun, Keith. I enjoy my job every day. I enjoy arguing with you and championing you and all the things you make me a better marketer and a better person, and I have been blessed to be on this journey alongside you for so long. So
Feelings mutual, man. Here we go. 10 more years.
all right, 10 more years.
Cheers.